Hello, hello everyone. How are you? A very Spooktober Sunday to everyone. Today we are doing a different type of stream. It's basically just a reading stream. I'm gonna read some spooky stories from one of the Facebook pages that I follow every Spooktober. We are gonna read the Milky Clear Comics Spooktober series for the year. We always do this during October, and I'm excited to see the stories that we have. But let me say hi to everyone first. Hello, Valen. Congratulations on getting first. Hello, Mako. How are you? Paradise, you're slow, but you're still here, which is the most important thing. D, how are you today? Good morning to you. And you, how are you? I see you broke the door to enter the spooky side. But yeah, that is what we have today. Oh, also, if you noticed, I have moved. I have the Kirby thing that we have was moved to a different thing. It is now via an extension on Twitter. When you claim Kirby, it doesn't immediately go to my body. Now you need to clear the viewer attack and extension, and then shoot it to me. You can target my body with the Kirby if you want to. What is this? Yeah, you can target me with things like that. I targeted myself with a hot dog. I forgot how long it stays there. But yeah, let me redeem a Kirby and hit myself with a Kirby. So you can hit the Kirby in any position now that you want. Where's my Kirby game? Bufferfish noises. Wait, I think it's broken. It's not giving me the Kirby attack. We will see that later. Hello, Kay. Hello, Yuto. Welcome to you as well. So for now, you can use the hot dogs, but I'm gonna check that why the Kirby's not working before we start the spooks. Of course, we need to fix the scuff first. Ah, you're licking me? Well, lick is still there. I just moved the Kirby right now. Oh, maybe it's because I turned it off. Is that it? Let me do this again. Save. Nope. Should be this. You just got home? Well, I'm glad to hear. Why the gasp face? You, hello, Comfy Bunny. How are you? I'm just testing the new plugin that I have. It's not giving me the things. Aha. I'm good. How are you? I'm doing good as well. Well, let's just open that for for now. The channel points is not working. Wait. Let's see. Let's try this. Ah, there. Somebody threw a hot dog. Who is that? Oh, Brock's tried to throw a hot dog. Let me check if this would work. Maybe we need to save it in a different name. Oh, there. Oh, it has a double name. Let me delete it. Uh-huh. Ah, I'm getting milk. Oh yeah, while we're reading, I need to remove that a bit. We need to remove the ones with sound because it's gonna ruin the immersion of the reading. All right, let's see this. I'm gonna test it out again. Now, go to horny jail. The spooky reading, yeah, the spooky reading, and suddenly I'm getting milked. Now I got it. Where's my Kirby? He's not giving it to me. Oh, there, I got it now. Look, and now I can put it wherever I want. If I want to put it here. But yeah, you can now attack me with different things. You got unlimited kissing hot dogs. Yeah, kissing hot dogs are free. You can redeem Kirby to get a Kirby to attack me with. But I think we need to turn this off while we read. Yeah, I'm gonna... Yeah, you can kiss me now. Kiss any part you want. But yeah, I'm gonna turn it off for the meantime while we are what do you call this? How do I do that though? Is there a way for me to turn it off temporarily? I guess we need to uninstall it for a bit. Deactivate there. Yeah, we're gonna deactivate it for a bit while we read story. It's only for PC viewers. Oh, actually, I didn't check. Let me see. Let me see if viewer attack is only it can be done in mobile. Let me check. Oh yeah, there you can use it on mobile. There's an icon on the chat where you can press it and do a viewer attack. Yeah, when you claim your viewer attack, it gets added to your inventory of your attacks and you use it. And yeah, you can choose it. I can kiss myself on the face. Mwah. Kissing myself in the face. Yeah, you can do that now. Hello, Sam. How are you? But yeah, it works on mobile too, so that's good. What did I kiss over there? We were kissing a ghost. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing great. Let me see if I miss anyone. And hello, baby doll. And such a good boy, Mako. I love the art that you're currently doing. Hope you gain motivation to finish it today. But yeah, I can get attacked. I'm innocent angel. I have no clue what you mean. All right. Nip to nip. All right, we're gonna turn it off a bit before we read the story. So I'm gonna activate it later. Ah, you gonna feed me a hot dog? Who was that? But yeah, let me deactivate it a bit. We continue that later. But yeah, today we read some spooky stories. Let me go on this side and read some spookies. Do you have some spooky encounters yourself? Have you guys experienced something scary? Me, I haven't had it personally. Charmy did, but he Crystal Quartz. Hello to you as well. Hope you're doing good. Today is a spooky reading stream, and yeah, let us start with the first story. I might not read comments while I read the stories, but we will react to whatever you say once we finish reading. So yeah, let us begin with the first story. The stories have an image included with them, posted by Milky Clear. If you wanna read with me, you can go to the pinned comment, or I'm gonna send the exact link of the story we're reading as well. It's on Facebook, so if you don't use Facebook. But yeah, the first story that we have is called The Girl in the Suitcase. So it was submitted by username Sao Pao. Sao Pao shares what he recalls as his most traumatic childhood experiences. When he was 15 years old, in the early 2000s, he and his friends happened to spot something floating in a creek near his home. He said that as they crossed a small footbridge over the creek, they saw a large pink suitcase, rugged and dirty due to the river's debris clinging onto it. Looking at it from a short distance, Sao Pao immediately knew something was off about it. One of his friends, Christian, who was much older than him, dared to jump into the water and pull the suitcase out. The rest of his group waited in bated breath until finally, his friend shouted, "Call the barangay!" Sao Pao says that he didn't even take 30 minutes for a small group of onlookers to pile up at the footbridge from where they are. Eventually, the barangay came and everyone watched as the decomposing body of a young girl was pulled from it. She was already rotting, but was so white like a doll. I still can't shake the memory of when I saw her. Even until now, it makes me sick. Sao Pao caught glimpses of the girl tangled black hair, her small white dress, her light blue flip-flops with cartoon characters printed on them. The creek was immediately filled with a foul stench of decay, along with the screams of horror of bystanders. Sao Pao recalls that many of the children were dragged away by their parents, but what stuck most to Sao Pao was all the chatter that came afterwards. I heard some of the older people snickering. They said, "Be ready, we'll be on the news," as if they were excited. Sadly, the comments heard by Sao Paulo seemed to echo throughout the crowd. Some of the people watching made remarks saying that they hoped they'd get interviewed, or they would appear in the newspaper. Some even attempted to push through the crowds to take a picture of the body with their digicams. One of the barangay personnel even lifted up peace signs as he posed next to the body lying strewn over the open suitcase. Saupo says that it was a sad truth that the people in the small rural neighborhood cared more about the media attention rather than being empathetic about the gruesome murder that they had discovered. The body was placed in a rice sack and taken to the barangay hall, where the crowd followed. Only then were the police called over to investigate. According to Sao Pao, it took the police over 3 hours to arrive. By that time, the crowd had already dwindled to a few people along with Sao Pao's friend group. Sao Pao remembers how the remaining few were disappointed to see only 2 policemen arrive to claim the body. The people obviously hoped for a large media presence to cover the story. Over the next few hours, their small barangay remained excited, hoping that any moment a news crew would arrive to cover the story. As the hours turned to days, the days turned to weeks. The populace grew tired and eventually forgot all about their grim discovery. It was forgotten like it was nothing. It didn't even appear on TV or in the newspaper. We never even learned about the story behind it. A few months passed, and Sao Paulo recalls seeing the barangay captain loading up an elf van on the street. The old captain, who was pushing into his late 60s, was dressed in board shorts and a tank top as he was accompanied by his family. It was obvious that they were going on an out-of-town trip to the beach or someplace. Sao Paulo paid no attention to them until he saw something familiar being loaded up into the van. It was unmistakably the pink suitcase that they found floating in the water. In the short moment that Sao Paulo saw it, was already certain that it was the same one. Same brand, same style, and even the same dents and scratches in the corners. Albeit now cleaned up. In a split second, it dawned on Sapo that he saw the policeman take the body that was inside the rice sack, but he never saw the suitcase being handed over to them. There was a moment when the barangay captain and I met gazes. I think he recognized me as one of the first people who saw the suitcase from before. He just smiled at me and said, "I already used Zonrox on it." In complete disbelief and shock, young 15-year-old Sao Paulo stayed silent and just ran home trying to process what he had seen. Sao Paulo says that multiple days passed before he saw the elf van return, but this time, without the barangay captain. He learned later from his parents that the old man had died of a heart attack while he was out on a family trip. Not long after, rumors began to spread around their community. Someone seeing the barangay captain's widowed wife stuffing rocks in the old pink suitcase and dumping it once again into the creek. No one could ever confirm it, of course. But every once in a while, someone would claim seeing the ghost of a bloodied girl standing over the waters, howling and crying in the night. Ooh. That story was a very simple story, but that nobody has reported about the crime. Well, they reported to the police, but looks like the body wasn't turned over correctly, and the barangay captain took it. And now they got cursed by the bloody girl. 15 years old seeing it suddenly, that is a horrible occurrence. It's scarier than a ghost because you're seeing an actual dead body. That is a scary experience than that is a scarier experience than actually seeing a ghost. Goldie, where's your shirt? Well, it's not part of my costume. This is my costume for Spooktober. I'm devil on the shoulder, but I have no shirt. But yeah. On the scary scale, not that scary, but it for a real seeing it in real life, it would be scary. Now let us see what is next. We will go to story number 2. And this is story number 2. Since in the Philippines, Christmas starts in September, where whenever the bear month starts, it's already Christmas in the Philippines. So our Christmas season already overlaps the spooky season. But yeah, here's a little spooky Christmas story already for day 2. Stories called Christmas Carolers, submitted by Mara. The Christmas Eve of 2016 was just like any other. The season was festive, and the wind was chilly as Mara and her family gathered in the living room to enjoy their Christmas dinner. Mara says that even before night came, many Christmas carolers has already stopped by their house, singing songs and asking for donations. From 7 in the morning until Christmas dinner, we really had a lot of carolers. Mara says that her mother was a very kind and generous woman who would not turn down any carolers that came their way. She even prepared an old tin cookie can with loose change the day before, specifically for the occasions. Despite their family had one strict rule about carolers. They would not entertain anyone from the hours of 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. According to their father, that's time for the family. Mara remembers how she found it funny whenever they'd hear people in the gate start the first few notes of Christmas Carol, only to be abruptly cut off by their father shouting, "Patawad!" It would go once every few minutes, and her father would give off a jokingly exaggerated sigh afterwards. It was around 9 p.m. when something suddenly strange happened. As Mara and her family were watching Christmas movies on their television, the power suddenly went out, followed by what sounded like a low and rasping humming noise. The sound was immediately followed by high tones of equally unnerving wails and screeches. Finally, an out of tune gargle of voices tuned in with what is unmistakably an unintelligible rendition of Jose Marichan's Christmas in Our Hearts. Aside from being completely out of tune, the sing was also unnaturally loud as if it were coming from a speaker. My father quickly stood up and peeked at our window. There he saw three kids singing Christmas carols at our gate, but their faces were obstructed. Mara father waves frankly out the window, screaming patawad. After a short attempts, the voice finally died down and were quickly followed by the lights coming back on. Once everything had settled, Mara and her family quickly speculated that what had just happened and came up with a theory that it was just a bunch of kids with an old defective loudspeaker. The idea seemed to explain everything except the power going out. Just as they were about to resume the movie, the lights went out again, followed by the gross, unnatural singing. With irritation, Mara's father looked out the window again but was shocked to see the three small children were standing on the other side of their gate, inside their property. Their mouths were black voids, and wide agape as the songs blasted through them. Mara recalls her father yelling at them in a panic, telling them to get out. Again, the song subsided and the children left. At that point, Mara and family were shaken, questioning how the kids got in through their locked gate. They decided to end their festivities a bit early and packed up their food for the night as Mara's father sat outside their front door, staying vigilant. Mara thought that was the end of their strange night. She believed that their father's long watch outside their front was enough to deter the mysterious children from returning. No one else came to ask for alms that night. But Mara was quickly proved wrong as at around 2 a.m. as they were sleeping. Mara and her parents were awakened by the sound of their front door locks rattling open. Mara's father quickly grabbed a wooden arnis stick and opened their bedroom door. He stood halfway through the doorway and shouted downstairs into the dark. He shouted angrily at the intruders and told them to get out of their house, that they were already calling the police. But instead of the sound of footsteps leaving, the silence was softly broken by familiar low, throaty humming, again quickly harmonized but by inhuman singing. Mara says at that point, she began to cower and whimper behind her mother, who was busy trying to dial the police. Fear settled in even more as they heard the voices grow louder. This time, it was as if there were more than three voices all singing together. It became so loud that Mara recalls covering her ears while some of the neighbors began to shout, obviously woken up by the noise. Without speaking, Mara saw her father run back into their bedroom, dip his hand into the pocket of his jeans, which were hanging on the closet door, quickly pull out the handful of coins. Without missing a beat, he threw the coins down the stairs into the dark. As they clattered, the voice of children died down. Last thing Mara heard, clumsy singing of a familiar thank you by the carolers, and sound of their front door closing. Mara says the following morning, her parents acted as if nothing had happened the night before, and they collectively brushed it off as a shared dream due to their exhaustion from their Christmas celebrations. However, Mara knew that this was a weak cover-up, as each following Christmas, her parents started giving out alms to carolers no matter what time it was. Oh, that one was creepy. It's like, do you know that movie called I think it was Trick or Treat, the one where there's an entity that would actually kill you if you don't give it candy. It's this sounds somewhat similar, but it is spooky. It's carolers that won't stop coming to your house. They even enter your house and sing until you give them the money for their caroling. That is creepy. Oh my god. But yeah, the premise of trick or treat is similar. Yeah, if I remember correctly, you just have to give it candy, the entity candy, so that it would leave you alone. That is scary. Imagine seeing that, just children with multiple mouths. Very creepy. Give candy or have bad luck. We started from a story about murder, and we're seeing a dead body, and now creepy caroling. Whoa. Now I don't want to hear caroling outside my gate. Charmy, ready the coins. All right, let's see. This is the third story. Ooh, look at this image. And by the way, thank you for the follow, Koto Matsukami. Let's see, who else did I miss? I didn't miss anybody else. Ah, you squeeze it. This is horror stream. Paradise, I'll let you squeeze just a little bit. Then we'll remove it. There. All right, we got the third story. You're scared you need to squish? Yeah, this is the third story. It's called The Lovers of KNL. KNL, or Cruz Naligas, is an area that lies in the midst of the famous Maginhawa Street and the University of Philippines Diliman. Though its name isn't flashy or well known as Maginhawa, it still boasts considerable food spots and where locals and students often hang out. Elaine recalls how a few years ago, when she was still a student, she would often visit the local coffee shop there to kill time during her evenings. Sometimes that's where I'd write my thesis, and most of the time I just stare blankly out the window while listening to music. The vibe was cool there. As she lived alone, Elaine had no set curfew and would often stay in the shop until the late evenings. During particularly hellish academic week, Elaine recalls that she visited the shop every day, so much so that the staff there had memorized her usual order, but it was for consistent visitation that she had begun to notice something strange during her nightly routine. I started to notice then, every night, a couple would always pass by the street in front of the shop. Ellen said that she wasn't jealous or anything, and that the couple passing by wouldn't be anything to be concerned about. But what was strange about them was that they were on a loop. Elaine says that they always passed by at 7:46. They wore the same outfits. They started to say the same things. They made the same mannerisms and took the same route every single time. Elaine started to keep a record of the loop after the third night she saw them. Number 1, the man would make a joke and then the woman would laugh out loud. 2, she'll drop her phone because of all her laughter. 3, the man will pick it up and the woman will playfully smack his shoulder while laughing. 4, they'll walk a few steps then stumble while laughing again. 5, then they'll make a turn at the corner where there are no lights. For the entire week, Elaine became obsessed with them, going as far as counting their exact number of steps and taking notes of how their hair moved in the air. She even took photos and videos of the two, but later found out that they would always appear blurry and out of focus. Elaine felt that she was witnessing a glitch in the Matrix. Until one night, she could not contain her curiosity any longer. I tried to follow them to see where they went every night. On the Sunday of that week, Elaine waited for the couple to appear at 7:46, right on the dot. The moment they came into view, Elaine grabbed her things and inconspicuously stepped outside the cafe. She started casually walk behind them, watching the pattern of movements as she had memorized by now unfold before her. Then, as the couple stumbled as usual, they continued doing the street and turned the corner. Elaine was only a few meters behind them as the couple went out of view, and she started to briskly walk in order to catch up. But when I turned the corner, I suddenly couldn't see them. Elaine found herself in the middle of a dark alleyway. There were no street lamps. The only light that she could see was a lone rickety street lamp further down the way. Elaine was confused as she couldn't see any other way the couple could have gone to. Slowly and quietly walked down the street, but began to quickly feel that something wasn't right. Someone was watching her. Elaine froze for a moment as she could feel a cold presence from behind her. Slowly, she began to turn her eyes behind her, and there she saw the couple, standing side by side and holding hands, staring blankly at her. Their eyes are glowing in the dark and staring directly at her. After a brief moment of her meeting their gaze, the couple then flashed her a toothy smile. I ran. I didn't try to explain. Didn't want them to say anything. I ran as fast as I could away from them. I took a left, then another left. I just wanted to get back to the cafe. Elaine says that when she would make a turn, she'd briefly glance back behind her, only to find that the couple was standing a few feet behind her at all times. She never even heard any footsteps from them chasing her, but they seemed to just be there every time that she would look. With tears in her eyes, Elaine eventually staggered and stumbled back into the cafe. Other patrons and staff were startled by her sudden entrance, but it didn't bother Elaine. She was only relieved that the lovers following her were no longer in sight. Elaine says that since then, she avoided coming back to the coffee shop at KNL. And when she graduated, moved to another city for work, she had tried not to stay out too long after dark. To this day, Elaine believes that she saw the night were not humans, and were probably the souls of lovers stuck in an endless loop. Regardless, Elaine learned that living or not, it's best to stay out of other people's relationships. Indeed. That's a case of curiosity scared the cat. She kept noticing them and wanted to see what they were doing. That's what you get. You get to see the ghosts look at you and follow you. That is scary. Scary. She wanted to be a third wheel. Alright. That was not that scary. But we will see how the next story goes. Before that, let me just refill my water. I just realized I finished all my water already. Are you liking the story so far? Today, I think we are going to go through 15 of them. We're going through 15 stories today. So, yeah, we're going to go with the fourth story. Let me just get some water. All right. Are you ready for story number 4? And look at this, the picture of story number 4. 3 feet? No, it's spooky feet. Let us see what that is. The fourth story is titled What's on the third floor? Submitted by username Joms. Joms recalls his experience back in when his grandfather on his mother's side died. He says that at the time, the details were not too clear to him as he was not very close to his family members on his mother's side. Regardless, he and siblings and parents had taken on the trip all the way back to all the way to Samar, their province, and to attend his grandfather's wake, which was being held at his grandmother's house. My grandmother's house was 3 stories. It was large enough to accommodate all of our relatives. Jumps was shy and awkward in his youth. Didn't interact with all of his distant cousins, aunts, and uncles who attended. Not that had many chances anyway, since and his family stayed on the third floor, while the rest of his unfamiliar relatives had rooms on the second floor. Jump says that his experience during the wake was quiet. He paid his respect to his grandfather in the casket, as one usually does, but most of the time, he was alone. There was, however, one detail that he recalls from the wake. He remembers at one point, his family was taken aside by their grandmother. After exchanging pleasantries, he sternly told them that using the restroom on the third floor was strictly prohibited. There were 2 restrooms on the first floor and one on the third floor. My grandmother told us siblings and my parents not to go inside the third floor restroom. Jom said that her words struck to him because it was such a strange thing to suddenly mention in the middle of the wake. Despite this, they didn't question it. Nothing much else occurred afterwards until the evening. Joms recalled that he woke up in the middle of the night and needed to go to the restroom. He actually got out of bed, made his way through the dark of the dark house all the way down to the first floor. However, he was confused when he found out both toilets first floor were locked, as if someone had just happened to have used the restroom at the same time as he did. Groggy and desperate to relieve himself, he made the decision to use the third floor restroom, the very same one that his grandmother told him not to enter. It was, after all, just to urinate. If the restroom couldn't have used because it was clogged, then there was always the option to use the drain. No one would even know he was there. Without giving it a second thought, Joms returned to the third floor and found himself in front of the toilet door. Despite not turning on any lights, he could see in the moonlight that there was a small, old wooden chair blocking the entrance. He casually removed it and went inside. As he stepped in, he recalled something cold touching the top of his head. Swaying due to the collision, he looked up and saw nothing, but kept feeling something cold brushing over him as he began to urinate at the bowl. I moved my hand over my head multiple times and looked around me to see where the cold touch was coming from, but I didn't see anything. Job decided to ignore it and just finish his business. He was also happy to see that the toilet's flush worked fine. After this, he remembered to place the chair back in the front door and he went back to their room to get to sleep. When Joms and his family were on their way home after the burial of his grandfather, he casually brought up the story of how he had to use the third floor restroom that one evening. To surprise, his story was met by anger and scolding from his parents and older sister. Joms couldn't understand why they were throwing such a fuss about it. Later on, he finally learned the truth. The reason why that toilet was off limits because that's where their grandfather hung himself. Oh, so that's why there's feet. It was the grandfather's feet that was touching his head. A little bit creepy. I wouldn't want to feel that. Why don't they have bathrooms on the second floor? They have 3 stories. They only have 2 in the first floor and on the third floor. Well, I'll not question it. I don't have a big house. I only have 1 bathroom. Rich people things. I think. Let's see. The 5th story. Well, I wonder what this is. Look at that. I wonder why this is the drawing for the 5th story. And the title of it is Hekadeka. I don't know what Hekadeka is. I think it's an urban legend from somewhere. Look at that. Story called Hekadeka, submitted by a user named Ermine. When Ermine was a child, she would always play out on the street with her friends. From morning until dusk, they played different games, only take short breaks from lunch and snacks. Ermine recalls those simpler times blissfully. There was only one rule that she says and her friend always followed. At 6 o'clock, we all need to head home, because that's when the Heka Deka comes out. Erman said everyone in their friend group heard of the Heka Deka from their respective parents, and their parents learned about it from their grandparents, and so on. As far as she knew, the Heka Deka was an urban legend that had been going around for generations. According to her mother, the Heka Deka is a spirit of a malicious witch that steals children when the sun goes down. It appears suddenly from empty lots, runs down the streets, and snatches up unsuspected children to bring them back to its burrow. It's also known to have a short, portly appearance with wild, unkempt hair. Strangest of all, it always wears pajamas as if it were going to bed. Of course, many of the kids, including Ermine, didn't believe in the Heka Deka at first. They claimed it must be a story made up by adults to get their children to come back home after playing outside. That is, until Ermine saw it herself. It was like during one summer evening in the late 90s, Ermine had her friends who were in a particular serious game of Agawan Base, or Capture the Base. They would usually keep track of the time by position and intensity of the sun, but during that time, no one could pay attention. As I remember, it was just Michael and me left on our team. I was the one trying to tag our opponents while Michael was left holding onto our base. When Ermine's opponent managed to cross over and run towards their base, Ermine was able to tag them from behind, but only because her opponents had suddenly froze midway. We all suddenly stopped because when we looked over to the post that served as our base, Michael was already gone. In Michael's place, a short, stocky woman with unruly hair and an unsettling smile was standing, touching the post. Irma says that one of her friends screamed out loud in fear, and they all ran scattered back to their homes as the Heka Deka ran after them with chattering laughter. To their luck, Irma and her friends all managed to reach their houses in time. Irma learned the next day that Michael was actually the first one to see the Heka Deka appear from the empty lot behind him and quickly ran home without alerting the others. He did apologize if we didn't invite him to any games for a long time. In fact, none of us played outside for a while after that. Erman says that now that she has a child of her own, she has not forgotten to pass down the story of the Heka Deka to him. She says that it's better to believe in cautionary urban legends than to one day find that her child has been snatched away. Oh, Michael was a dick there. Michael didn't warn them that there was a horrifying witch coming out of the woodwork. Oh my god. I thought Michael got taken, but he was a dick. He ran away without telling the others. But that is traumatizing, getting chased by a witch. Even if it was not an actual urban legend thing or a monster, it's and just a person with long hair is gonna chase you. That is scary as a child. Yeah, even if it's not actually the Heka Deka, it's just a homeless person chasing you. That is scary. Yeah, that one is very creepy. And the illustration evokes it. Why is the post giving, are you not entertained? Be aware of the Heka. Actually, this is the first time I heard about a Heka Deka. Oh, hello, Kaizen! Welcome, welcome! How was that plate? Did you finish it? You're just in time. We just finished the 5th story of the spooky stories that we're reading. But how are you? How are you? Hello, just anxious person. How are you today? You come to serve. Lemmy Zorwa. Hello. The Grimoire of Manga. Hello to you as well. Phantom Werewolf. Gabu. Ooh, you also go to Kaizen stream. How are you, Gabu? As you can see, I am not indeed. And we've come to serve, and yeah, welcome, welcome, Kaizen. Thank you for the raid. Yeah, today we were reading some spooky stories from Mickey Clear Comics. You were not expecting to see someone shirtless? Well, this is my Spooktober costume. I'm the devil on your shoulder. And I'm here to whisper sweet nothings on your ear. Also tempt you a little bit. That's why I'm shirtless. Hope you guys had a fun time with Dead Plate. Hope you survive, and hopefully you finally cleaned your house and washed the dishes. What workout you do for that, Chess? This just a little pec workout to get some gains. Oh, you did all four. Ooh, you already did all the endings. Nice. You're afraid the dishes still haven't been. Oh no, the roaches and the rats. Well, I think you were trying to catch rats to put them on the plate again. You love that plate. Yeah, I saw it. It looks like a fun game. I'm gonna check that. I want to see the endings of that. Hope your night days has been well. Also, that answer is great. Rats are delicious, but why don't you finish them? Why do you leave them half eaten? But yeah, today we were just reading some spooky stories. So yeah, come chill with us by the campfire and listen to some spooks. Or I think it's time for you to rest because it's already in the middle of the. It's very early morning to you as well. Make sure you take care of yourself, do your after stream care, and rest. Thank you so much for rating us. Yeah, we're reading some spooky stories. We're at story number 6 now. Ooh, this is the image for. Are you perhaps Snake from MGS3? Look at the image for story number 6. It looks like this might be a hospital story, or why is there a wheelchair? This might be a hospital story. Let us see. Is this Japanese spooky stories like Kuchisake Onna? It's usually during Spooktober, a page on Facebook called Milky Clear Comics collects user submitted horror experiences and make illustration based on them and post them on the page. And I like reading them. Me on your beard, no Gav. No, I cannot look at the wheelchairs. I hate them. Give me nightmares. All right, let us read the story. It's called JD's Bell, submitted by Scotch. Scotch begins his submission by stating that the story does not actually come from him, but from his friends, whom he hides under names Carl and JD. He mentions that he had asked permission from both of them before sending it in, and they were happy to share their story on the page, since it was already a long time ago. Scotch first met his best friends Carl and JD in high school. Carl was the same class as him, but JD, who was also Carl's brother, did not attend school and stayed home. This was because JD had cerebral palsy. Carl and I became groupmates once for a project, and we made a project at his house. That's where I met JD. Scotch admitted that at first he didn't know how to really react around JD, but Carl reassured him that his brother was actually a very fun person to hang out with. And this rang true, as despite being wheelchair bound, JD had a bright and active personality. He also joined us laughing whenever we told jokes, even though he couldn't speak properly. He also played on the PlayStation with his feet. He would play WWE and Crash Bandicoot. Scott recalls how one day, the three of them were hanging around, watching Breaking Bad on TV, and they saw a scene where the character, who was also in a wheelchair, used a small bell to communicate. JD yelped with joy at the scene, and Scotch immediately went out to buy one for him as a gift. With it, they found another way for JD to communicate with them. Their lives and friendship thereafter were never dull. They'd always find different activities to enjoy together with JD. However, that's where the trouble began. It was really Carl who suggested that we try to spear it off the glass. Scotch was reluctant at first, but seeing how JD was all in the idea as well, they began to try it out. Carl quickly drew up a quick Ouija board on a piece of scratch paper, and they began to play with the lights off. Scotch and Carl placed their index fingers on the glass while JD reached out with his big toe. Slowly, they began to call upon spirits to join them and answer questions. Carl was the one moving the glass, and it was obvious that because he had asked questions like, "How old are you?" and the answer would be "hot dog." He was just starting to make JD laugh. After more rounds of questions with nonsensical answers like "Mama mo" or "Boom panis," JD was already laughing nonstop. But then, Carl started with another question. Are you here right now? And before the glass could move, they heard a loud ding. JD's bell was just rung on its own. All three of them felt silent as they stared at the bell on JD's armrest. Carl asked JD if he did that, but the bell was suddenly rang twice. JD began to yell and cry as Carl quickly turned on the light switch and consoled his brother. They promised each other that they would never speak of that event to Carl or JD's parents. Scott went home that night, rattled about what happened, was still trying to rationalize it. For Carl and JD, however, it wasn't over yet. According to Carl, that night as he and his family lay asleep, he suddenly felt JD nudging him awake. JD made whispering sounds as if he was trying to tell Carl something without waking up their parents. Before Carl could ask what was happening, his blood ran cold when he heard the distinct sound of JD's bell ringing the other side of the room. Carl slowly lifted his head to take a peek at the wheelchair stationed near the bedroom door. There he saw a white figure with long hair sitting in JD's chair. Carl watched in cold sweat and JD kept his eyes shut, and then, ding! The ghost figure rang the bell again. Carl quickly threw a blanket over him and his brother and began to pray profusely for the spirit to disappear. As he did, he swore he heard another distinct ding, which almost woke their parents. As soon as the ringing stopped, Carl again built up the courage to look at the chair. The figure was gone. Scott says that JD refused to use the bell after that night, gestured for them to remove it from his chair. Scott says he still has the bell to this day and keeps it in his room. He made sure to have it blessed with holy water though, as he does not want to see any ghostly figures ring it in the dead of the night. Oh my god, that's creepy. That's what you get, kids. You don't play Spirit. You don't play Spirit of the Glass, even if as a joke. I know it's real or not, but I don't want to risk it. But yeah, that is one creepy story. I don't want to experience that. But yeah, let's see. Oh, did I miss something? And thank you for the follow, Toya. Censor that, trigger warn it. Which one? And hello to you, Toya. And what is that, Mako? You got the hot dog and the burgers. Mako is a secret language. And thank you for the follow, just an action person. This is a secret language, is what you said. Are you here right now? Says in a fuckboy voice. Oh, I accidentally pinned that. Oh, I unpinned the message that we had. Let me repost it. But that is creepy. Somebody sitting on the wheelchair. There. Let us have that again. Oh, there's going to be an ad soon. I think we take a little break from the spooky a little bit. Make you stare at the pecs until we until the ads are over. Yeah, just get a glass of water and chill. We're gonna go with story number 7 after this ad break. I should make a banner for my ad breaks. Let's put the text currently. Ads, ad break. There. We will come back. In a few minutes after the ad is finished. The bot spoke. Yeah, you can talk to Kuma if you want to. You put your phone in the pocket for a bit and took it out and had a ab jump scare. Yeah, put this out whenever there's an ads. Hey, Dar Zombie, welcome. We were reading some spooky stories. We're just waiting for the ad to be over. Why hasn't it popped up yet? Actually, yeah, we're just waiting for the ads to be over. You have birthmas. Oh, happy birthday! Oh, there we go. The ad break has started. Happy birthday to you, Dar Zombie. Ah, and there it is. The ad is over. We can go back. And let's see. Ah, stay there. Stay on the side. Let me read through to chat. And then once again, Dar Zombie, happy birthday to you. Hope you feel better. Make sure you rest so you can recover quickly. And what type of Lego set did you get? Make sure to rest so your voice can return. So, the question is the arm supposed to go under the booba? Well, it's the weird rigging things that we have, but yeah, it is what it is. And thank you, Valen, for the care package. Don't worry, I've been taking myself. Don't, make sure you guys take care of yourself too. And a tepig, yeah, we I didn't even know about it because I thought it was only the chikorita thing. But until I think until tomorrow or until today maybe or the 19th, you can get a tepig by gifting or subbing to somebody playing some Pokemon Legends Z2A. And then on the 20th, I somebody said that it would become Totodile. So I think you get the three starters for the as badges for the Legends ZA release. They're really milking the Pokemon franchise even with the Twitch badges. But yeah, let us continue with story 7. Where are we now? Oh, what the heck is this? Look at that. It's an old man moth or butterfly. And it is the story's called Lolo Imago. So Lolo is grandfather in Tagalog. So yeah, I'm guessing this is their grandfather. They usually said that either butterfly or moth flying is your relative, your dead relative. So it might come from this. But if you see a moth looking like that with human features, that is creepy. Oh, there's a specific moth that looks like this. Oh. Hello, Jimmy. Yeah, we're about to read the seventh story of the day. All right. Ooh, but that is a very cute. Yeah, significant death of a family member. Look at that. That is a very cute emote. Hello there. All right, let us read it. Lolo Imago, submitted by Chris Rosario. When Chris, Lolo's Ernest, and Lolo Mansi were still alive, they were seen as the perfect couple. Also very loving to each other and flirting even in their advanced age. All of this changed, however, after the passing of his grandfather back in 2020 due to COVID. The news was abrupt and shocked the entire family. Because his grandmother was now alone and was exposed to the virus, she had to be quarantined in their home in Masbate. Chris's mother was also able to persuade the local government to let her be quarantined with her. My mother stayed with our grandmother for a few months. We would also often see her when she'd video call us. That's when she told us that something was changing with our grandmother. His mother reported them that Lola Manisi's demeanor had changed from being widowed. In the mornings, Lola Mansi would often be quiet and detached, staring blankly at the walls or the ceilings. In the evenings, however, she became jittery and nervous, always looking around wildly at things that were not there. She would always complain that she felt something or someone was watching her through the windows. Over the months, Lola Mansi's condition only got worse. She started to randomly scream while she was alone in the kitchen or on the toilet. His mother would run to her aid and find her trembling on the floor, crying that she had seen Lolo Ernest flying around the room. She would see Lolo on the walls or in the windows. Our first reaction, too, is why she would be scared of Lolo. In her shock and hysteria, Lola Mansi would only be able to cry out, he's different. More days passed with Chris's mother reporting more and more to them. Despite the initial fear and shock of Lola Mansi's panic attacks, Chris's mother stayed calm. She even told them that she had a working theory as to what Lola Mansi was seeing. According to his mother, there was increase in large moths flying around their place recently. It must have been a season for them to start coming out their cocoons, because Lola Mansi had been shouting out Lola Ernest often flew into the house. His mother was certain that she was just seeing one of those moths. That's what old people believe in, that moths were actually spirits of the dead. For the next few days, all of Lola Mansi's episodes seemed to be made logical and simple. It was just a matter of calming her down after each one. It wasn't until a fateful evening that Chris's family received a video call 2 a.m. through their group chat when Chris's father answered it. They saw his mother in tears and whimpering in a shaky voice. Chris's mother immediately yelled at them to bring them home, and she said they needed to get out of the house as soon as possible. In a panic, they asked what happened. Mom was sobbing. She told us she saw Lolo Ernest stuck on the kitchen wall. Chris's mother said that it was really him, but that he had a horribly contorted face and that he was calling out her name with a gargled voice full of suffering. Chris and his father could not believe what they were hearing, but decided to spring into action nonetheless. They broke quarantine protocol that night and snuck out with their e-bike to go to Lola Mancy's house. They dodged local patrols and managed to arrive through their backyard. When they got in, they found Lola Mancy and Chris's mother barricaded in the master bedroom. They snuck them from the outside, but just before they went out, Chris was asked to go back for Lola Mancy's maintenance medication. As he passed the kitchen, he saw it too. I didn't fully see it. In the corner of my eye, I just saw a large humanoid shadow on top of the refrigerator. It wasn't able to look yet, but it was suddenly through the kitchen screen door. Chris stifled a yell as the screen door smashed violently against the outside walls of the house. Shadow exited. A small swarm of moths also flew into the room. Each one had a wingspan of at least 4 inches. In the dark night beyond the screen door, Chris also saw what he believed to be the face of Lolo Ernest staring back at him before it floated away into the dark. Chris quickly ran outside to meet with the rest of the family. As he did, he also remembers how angry his father was at him for making a racket and always getting them caught breaking quarantine. Chris says that 2 years later, his Lolo Mancy's peacefully passed away on as well. That during a wake, they saw 2 butterflies flying around the flowers. His father took it as a good omen, saying that it must be the spirits of his grandparents finally being reunited. His mother was wary though, saying, "If I see a moth later tonight, I'm going to kill it." Oh my god, I would be scared too if there was a human face of a giant moth just gurgling. I want to see that moth, Polyphemus moth. Ooh, look at that. It has those eyes. I put it on screen. Ah, the image is small. Yeah, it has the eyes. Look at that. Polyphemus moth. I remember looking at moths because I wanted to go Luna moth character. They got distracted by the very pretty moths. Polyphemus moth has an average wingspan of 6 inches. Ooh, that is a very big. It's scary when it jumps at you. But yeah, I wouldn't like to see a moth with the human features. It is gonna be very creepy. The colors reminds me of a VTuber, Magnus Moth VT.
I see you.
That one woman kisser. Hello, hello. Hope you're doing fine. Would you want to kiss the grandpa who is a moth now? The spook, and during quarantine as well, when you cannot go anywhere. Oh, this one is branded. Look at that. It's involving a cake. I'm guessing it's Goldilocks. The brand is Goldilocks. Yeah, this is the next story. It's called Quentum Cake Shop, or a story from a cake shop. It was submitted by Goldie. What a nice coincidence. Their alias is Goldie for Goldilocks. Goldie found her first ever job as a cashier for a famous local cake shop, the of which is similar to her chosen screen name. It was a small branch that was relatively near her home. It didn't pay much, but it was enough for Goldie. Was just happy to start earning to help out her family. Goldie says that she had a full week of shifts. Some days she would be assisted by a senior co-worker and training officer. On other days, she would work with Marcel, another co-worker who was closer to her age. Gold says that their work was very simple. They'd handle turnovers of deliveries, stock the shelves, sell them to customers. Sometimes, they'd have to write cake dedications as well. For the most part, it was all just a simple job, something that Goldie was very thankful for. However, one bright and sunny afternoon, something strange happened. A woman came in. She was very stylish. She had a red dress on, and her hair looked like it was newly rebonded. But the weird thing was that she was trying hard to hide her face. Goldie says the woman actively tried to turn her face away from her. She awkwardly walked sideways to avoid her gaze, even used her hair sometimes to hide her face. When she picked up a small box of small packaged pastries, she held it at high height. She said she was going to buy the box of sponge cake for her child, and she handed me the box. But still, she still used it to cover her face. Despite being weirded out, Goldie still reached the box before she heard Janine shouting from the room beside her. "Turn around!" shouted as she pulled Goldie over to turn away from the strange woman. Goldie says that she was obviously confused at what was happening. But before she could speak, Janine told her to stay calm and just wait. "Don't make a sound. She's not human. Just wait for her to go away." After a few moments, they heard the thud of the box falling to the floor. That was their cue that it was safe to turn around. Goldie immediately shouted for an explanation of what happened. But again, Janine told her to calm down as she explained everything. She said it was a natural occurrence in the cake shop. Sometimes unexplainable things happen and entities make their way in. When that happens, I should just turn around and ignore them. Goldie says that she was obviously at a loss for words. She didn't necessarily believe in such things, but it was hard when she saw the strange woman and her sudden disappearance. Afterwards, she decided to take the rest of the day off that afternoon and contemplated quitting. But after thinking it over, she made a tough decision to stay. It was her first job, and there was part of me that thought it was just a prank by Janine. Maybe she knew that woman, and it was just my initiation. Goldie convinced herself that the notion came back to work the following day. Goldie recalls that it didn't even last 3 days when another strange person came into the shop. It was a man this time who came through the doors, walking very stiffly. As Goldie recalls, she could never get a good look at his face. Like, no matter what angle I look at him, his face was always blurred. Janine quickly grabbed Goldie once again, turned her around, and as before, after a brief moment, the man disappeared without a trace. At that point, Goldie no longer hesitated and told Janine she was quitting. Janine gave her an understanding look and told her that it was just how things went in their small cake shop. Before I left, I told Janine, "I have no idea how you and Marcel could stand those things. They're scary." But Janine gave a strange look. What she said next was a final nail in the coffin for Goldie. She asked, "Marcel who?" She said no one else was working there. It was just us two. What the? She said Marcel was a co-worker. There was another entity working with them. Would you work for that cake shop if there were things like that? Entities that just sometimes come to buy things. What happens if they sell the entities the cakes? Would they die if you see their face? Money's money. I wonder what happens if they see the face of the entities. Why do you need to turn around? What if the entities just steal the cakes because you turned around? But it's just like that game. That's Not My Neighbor. Suddenly there's a random monsters trying to sneak in. This time they want to buy cakes. Instead of trying to go into the apartment, they just want cakes. I cover my face all the time because I'm shy. I don't like looking at other people's faces too. Yeah, what if you just look down while they're buying stuff? Maybe that would be okay rather than just turning around. But yeah. The Death's Head Hawk Moth looked like they are. Ooh, that sounds interesting. And Sharky318, thank you for the follow. Rose Whitethorn, hello, spooky stories. Indeed, we have spooky stories today. No, I like this though, but it's creepy if you work there. You don't know who is the actual ghost. Oh, look at that. This next story is about carpooling. Hello, Itenchi! My oh my. Yeah, we're reading some spooky stories today. How are you? Come join us. What happened to your shirt? It is my Spooktober costume. I'm the devil on your shoulder and I don't have a shirt. But yeah, time for story number 9.
I see you.
SB Joker, thank you for the follow as well. Are you guys ready for a carpooling story? Wonder what this is. I hope the driver doesn't see it because it's spooky. Alright, let's see. Story number 9, Carpool, submitted by Kiko. Kiko recalls his story from January 2020. On one particular evening, he, along with some of his family members, was on their way to Batangas to attend a wedding. They chose to travel in the dead of night to avoid traffic and any delays. Kiko rode in the front seat beside his cousin who was driving, while his mother and tita sat in the back. As they packed their bags and loaded them into the car, he recalls jesting at his mother, who at the time was still watching TV. She was watching a rerun of an episode of Gabi of ng Lagim before going on their trip. They're just fooling you again. None of that is actually real. Yet his mother remained invested in the show. Kiko recalls how he found it amusing that his mother would believe in such tall tales. Little did Kiko know that tonight would put him into a ghost story of his own. For the first part of the trip, Kiko stayed awake and helped his cousin navigate through the dark roads of Legazpi to Batangas. But as the night silently dulled on, he recalls slowly falling quiet and just simply letting his cousin cruise along the straight path. As they passed Centrong Ligao, Kiko's mother and tita had already fallen asleep, while he was just kept his eyes on the dark road without speaking. It was around 12 midnight when Kiko was suddenly jostled awake at the sight of something. A lone biker had suddenly come into view in front of them. It was illuminated by their headlights when he saw him paddling forth a good distance away. Kiko, in his tired state, realized it was too late when the cyclist was getting much closer and was about to collide with them. He couldn't speak in time and he just braced for impact, only to find out the cyclist had passed right through them. Kiko looked at his cousin but saw that he was unfazed by what had just happened. His eyes were still looking straight ahead as he drove through the night. Without speaking a word, Kiko convinced himself that he was just tired and was seeing things. Not long after, Kiko saw a group of high school students near the dark side of the road. As before, he had already seen them a good distance away before the group had begun crossing the road, playing around as they did. Despite this, Kiko's cousin didn't slow down. Kiko almost made a lunge for the steering wheel but managed to stop himself. Instead, braced for impact once again, only to find out the car passed right through the group of students, a soft chill breeze wafting over him as they did. Kiko looked around frantically but saw no signs of the students in the rearview mirror. He only saw his cousin's confused look as he stared at him, acting nervously. He could eventually catch his breath and found a chance to clear his eyes when they reached 7-Eleven in Calawag. They made a small stop to get breakfast, and that was the only time Kiko decided to bring up what he saw to his cousin. When we were at Polangi, did you see any kids crossing the street? Kiko already had a feeling as to what the answer was going to be, but he still felt a chilling sensation when his cousin adamantly said no. They talked about it for a while, and Kiko soon realized that, of course, there wouldn't be anyone out on the road at that time. It was around midnight after all. Amidst their conversations, Kiko's tita chimed in and said maybe there were spirits who known as Nakiki Dumamay, which Kiko explained as a term for ghosts who died in the road accidents and now attempted to cause accidents themselves. Kiko says that he was very thankful to his cousin didn't see them at night and that he wasn't the one driving. As they were finishing up at 7-Eleven, Kiko distinctly heard an electronic chime sound. He looked over to his right to see the door of the convenience store had opened on its own. It stayed open for a while before closing again. Kiko didn't speak another word and gestured for his family to get back to the car quickly. Whatever those spirits that they encountered that night were up to, Kiko assumed that was that the convenience store's problem now. Oh, they made pagpag. The 7-Eleven became the pagpag area for the ghost. The poor 7-Eleven. I don't know who started that. Is it a tradition or is it like an urban legend where whenever you go to a funeral, you go somewhere to do a pagpag to leave the bad spirits or any spirits that you take over there. Are all convenience stores haunted now because of that? Oh, this one is related. The next one is related to TikTok. Let's see. But look at this. This, what is it? Is it Junji Ito where there's a lot of insects with people faces? This reminds me of that. But yeah, this one is called TikTok Mystics. Yeah, let's see. Story 10. A lot of what? Insects with people faces. I still remember that one from an episode of The Last Airbender. The one that takes your face. Isn't it like a giant insect with different faces? That one was a creepy one too. Whenever you put a person's face on an insect, it is very, very creepy. What word did you think it was? But yeah, let us see the day 10 of the TikTok Mystics. Alright. TikTok Mystics was submitted by Lamory. Lamory's sister always had quirks and special interests. She was quite different from other 15-year-old girls. For example, instead of watching YouTubers online or playing Roblox, his little sister had a deep interest in what Lamory called TikTok Mystics. They're content creators on TikTok who make videos on tarot readings, magic spells, and witchcraft. Just a bunch of nonsense. Lamory said that his sister would watch those videos all day long, even try to imitate some of them or of what they do. Lamory continues to list a few things that his sister had done, such as leaving out bottles of water in the garden so they could be enchanted with moonlight, using gemstones for spiritual energy, writing pagan names on her notebook before consuming the pages, chanting magic spells for the sun and moon, asking for centipede milk as a gift for her birthday. He goes further regarding the last one, saying that their parents refused to buy his sister a centipede from an exotic pet seller that their sister found online, but still help her collect millipedes from a nearby empty lot. Lamory says he often cringes at some things his sister says and does, but also worries about her frequently. He often tried to convince their parents that some of his sister's action may be dangerous to her. Their parents usually reassure Lamory that it was just a phase and that his sister would grow out of it. But Lamory never believed them. For me, there's a difference between just playing around and insanity. One night, Lamory's sister excitedly told him that she had learned something new through her TikTok mystics. It was ability to lucid dream and astral project. Lamory remembers rolling his eyes at his sister at the time. He had heard of astral projection before and recalled that he had seen it in a movie once. It was completely made up and he did not believe in it, not one bit. Despite this, he still told his sister off. However, Lamory's sister was indifferent to his warnings. Told Lamory that he would show him that night that lucid dreaming and astral projection were real. Before going to bed, Lamory remembers seeing her sister drink one of her potions in her room, which were usually just a concoction of fruit juice and her moon water. Afterwards, she smiled and told him that she would visit his dreams later as they slept. Lamory woke much later in the middle of the night to see the door of his sister's room was left open. Check up on her, he saw that she was out of bed. I said to myself, she must have stepped out again to get more of her moonlight powers or whatnot. As Lamory turned the corner of their kitchen, he saw his sister slumped on the floor with her face buried in her knees. Lamory froze as he heard what sounded like multiple voices whispering from behind his sister's long hair. Snapping out of it, Lamory ran across the kitchen, knelt before his sister to lift her up her head, only to see her eyes wide open and completely dilated. The way she looked at me was intense. It was like she wanted to kill me. But his sister didn't move. She just stared at him with bloodshot eyes and ground her teeth as she mumbled more aggressively. Lamory couldn't stop himself from screaming for help, and in an instant, he heard the weird footsteps of their parents as they came rushing from the bedroom. Lamory remembers how terrified their parents' voices sounded as they asked what was happening. But before Lamory could answer, his sister opened her mouth and began to vomit. Out of her came a vile and putrid liquid that came spilling onto the floor. Lamory had to look away as he saw things wriggling in the puddle. There were millipedes mixed into her vomit. Lamory says the parents took care of the sister at night while he had to wash the kitchen floor. After a long crazy night, she collapsed to sleep on his bed. The following day, he asked his parents whether they would be taking his sister to the hospital, but they said they didn't know why he would ask such a thing. They kept insisting that Lamory had just a bad dream and that night nothing of what he was saying was actually happened. They even claimed that they saw Lamry tossing and turning in his bed as he was having a nightmare. Lamry loathed his parents immensely for their ignorance and for their apparent gaslighting, and he furiously stomped away to look for his sister. After confronting his sister, he said that everything that happened was all just a dream that she remembers because she had been lucid dreaming that night. Early, she even claims to have been out of her own body, and she watched herself walk outside her room, sit on the kitchen floor. Lamry was so frustrated at his entire family for trying to make up such a wild story that it was all just a dream. However, what his sister said next struck him with horror. She was giggling as she said that their potion worked and that I should look at the glass I used for dinner last night. It was still in the sink. Slowly and cautiously, Lamry approached the sink and peered over as he looked into the glass. He had to keep himself from gagging as he saw a dead centipede inside of it. What the heck did the sister do? Oh my... Oh God, she tried me. She start doing this, I'm gonna stop you. What do you mean you're collecting moon water? I'm gonna throw it all away. Well, that is a creepy one. Even if it was just a dream. Listening to TikTok influencers casting spells, eating paper. Oh my God. That is a scary face if it is just a face. The scary part is that the millipedes in their in their vomit. And what's up with this picture? Where are there centipedes climbing at her back? Yeah, the parents are just saying it's just a face. The parents should teach her not to drink random stuff. She's just making potions out of things that might get her infected by something. Alright, let's have this one. Alright. This is the next... The image for that... Well, it's a little clip. Look at that. Something appears in the rain. Story number 11. I'm liking the series so far. Hello, Yuto. How are you? We're reading some spooky stories. Do you like spooky things? Ah, I see you there, Shark. You're licking. But yeah, let us begin. Story number 11. Manananggal of Ormoc. It was submitted by Riel. All the way back in 1998, Riel was attending his senior year of high school in a public institution in Ormoc City. Riel recalls that in September of that year, he and his classmates were scheduled to have a class recollection far away from their school. They were told to assemble in their school classroom at around 6 p.m. Wait for the arrival of the bus that would take them away. However, strong torrential rain started pouring in by late 5 p.m. that evening. During our time, we didn't have text messages, so we were just left to wait for the announcement from our teachers. Over time, more and more students arrive in the classroom. Each one has to brave the storm outside. By around 6:50, Riel and his classmates had a feeling that the retreat would not push through. Moreover, as the streets outside began to flood, they knew that they were going to be stuck there for a while. Riel and his classmates, though disappointed, accepted reality, quickly began to find ways to keep themselves busy. Some brought out guitars, started jamming, while the others played simple games inside their room. Riel and his friends, on the other hand, went out to the balcony to chat while watching the storm's downpour. They spent a fair amount of time just conversing out by the balcony that overlooked the walkway, which was covered in dense trees. Once in a while, a flash of lightning would illuminate the dark, and they get to see the scenery below. One of friends, Ramirez, suddenly shouted and pointed in the distance. He said that there was a large bird flying around. They squinted their eyes to see what Ramirez was pointing at, but couldn't see anything in the dark sky. Just then, a flash of lightning crackled and made the sky bright. Riel and friends suddenly made confused and curious faces as they saw the bird illuminated in the sky. We fell in silence for a bit, but we all saw it. It was a manananggal. What was once a mythological and imaginary creature to Riel and his friends was suddenly and undoubtedly flying across the sky in front of them. They all fell into frightened murmurs, each one asking the other if what they saw was true. But then, as another bolt of lightning cracked through the sky, they all saw that Manananggal was flapping its wings violently as it was flying towards their direction. Riel and his friends rushed back into the classroom with high-pitched screams of terror as they pushed each other to get to safety. They quickly closed the doors and panted as the rest of the class stopped what they were doing and asked them what had just happened. After a brief explanation and recount of the events, some of their friends accused Riel and his friends for being liars. Some of them laughed at them for being scared make-believe creatures, while others rushed outside to see the Manananggal for themselves. Right before anyone else could exit the room onto the balcony, all the lights went out, and Riel's entire class began to scream in high-pitched voices. Even the boys began screeching. As they collided, something thudded onto the windows of their classroom, as if a large bird had collided with the glass. But then, everyone ran outside to the walkway and screamed as they went downstairs to the first floor. There, they were all met by their teacher who scolded them for making a racket. They quickly explained what had happened, and the teacher scoffed at their immaturity. She told them that they would check it on herself and that they should all grow up. According to Riel, when the teacher went outside to the balcony, he saw what lying on the ground in front of their classroom was 6 mysteriously dead bats. The bats obviously hadn't been there before, which means that they were ones that collided in the window subsequently died. However, to this day, Riel and his classmates have not accepted that this was the only explanation for it. Because there were so many things wrong, right? First of all, why were there bats flying through a storm? Then they just all flew into the window and died? Moreover, we only heard one thud. It was a loud one. What? Were they all flying together as one? As they grew older, Riel and his classmates still remembered the nights and still believed that what they saw was a real manananggal. Perhaps manananggals could turn into swarms of bats just like vampires. Or maybe the manananggal placed the dead bats there to cover her tracks. Many explanations still run to the friend group when they speak of the event. However, one thing is sure to them. Manananggals are real, so still, they care. Oh. Yeah, if you guys don't know, manananggals are creatures, mythical creatures, a woman flying in half. Wait, do we have an image of a manananggal? Let's have this scary one. This one. This one is a manananggal. Why is the image so small? It flies off with half of its body. It usually preys on the unborn child of pregnant women. Wait, I remember there was also a story about bats. The giant bats here in the Philippines that people think are manananggal. I forgot the name of the bat. Where is it? It is actual bats that people thought to be. Yeah, there are actual giant bats in the Philippines that people thought to be monsters, but they are just bats. Here, they are actually human-sized bats. This one. Wait, I forgot where is it? I want to see the name of the bat. Oh, here. There's a. Here it is. Here's a better picture. Yeah, people got scared of it because they thought it was the mananangals or the aswangs. Here. Wow, this image is very big. The giant golden crown flying fox. Look at it. Who wouldn't be scared if you see that? That's why people thought they were monsters. They're just big bats. It can grow up to 5.58 feet. Almost as tall as me. These bats are vegetarian, consume primarily fruit. But yeah, if I can understand how people would be scared of that if you see that at night with its wings open. That would be pretty scary. I would also think that it is a monster, even though it isn't. But yeah, that would be scary to see. Yeah, 1.7 meters. 170, yeah. That is gonna be scary to see. Now I'm shorter than a Don't worry, I think it's wingspan. I think it's smaller, but the wingspan is the bigger one, as wide as a person. But yeah, that is gonna be scary to see if you suddenly get attacked by that attacked by that bat. All right, let's go to the on to the next story. Day 12 or story 12. Where is it? Over here. Ooh, look at that. It's just. Is she dancing with nobody? The person she's dancing with has no shadow. Attacked? Not. They probably didn't get attacked. It probably is just flying and they think they are getting attacked. It is it is very scary to see a big thing like that flying. What happened to you, sir? I have my Spooktober costume on. How are you, freaky darling? The poor babies, indeed. People think they're scary even though they're just peacefully flying and eating fruits. I got a BRB, alright. How are you today, freaky darling? Let me also just refill my water before we continue with story number 12. Oh, you got some attack points. You cannot use that right now. I'm gonna activate that later, freaky darling. Red looks good on you. Thank you. What happened? I just got some water, well, for a bit. But now, let us read story number 12. Sumpa, or a curse, submitted by Naida. Hello, Milky Clear. Not sure if you accept stories like mine. I hope you get to read it first. Naida and her boyfriend Liam have been a 10-year relationship. They met each other in college and have been together since their freshman year. They found many things in common that kept them together for so long. Their common interest had always been ballroom dancing. Naida says that they joined their ballroom dance group once on a whim and fell in love with it ever since. She previously mentioned that their dream to the theme of their wedding around was Beauty and the Beast. Have everyone ballroom dancing. It was just a matter of when he was going to propose. But Liam got an accident while driving in 2024. He's not here anymore. Naida says that it has been difficult to keep living after the death of Liam. In Naida's entry, she goes into detail about how he struggled during the first few months of his absence. How her world seemed to come to a standstill and she no longer had any direction in her life. One night as Naida was walking home from work, she felt a familiar presence. It was like someone was following me. I could hear their footsteps, but I couldn't see anyone. For some reason, it wasn't fear that I felt that night. It was just more of security and tenderness. Naida says that the sensation persisted as she opened the door to her condo. In her longing state, she made the decision to step into her unit and turn around and stand aside of the door as if letting someone in. She even whispered, "Pasok ka," or "come in" afterwards. Naida still cannot fully explain, and as soon as she whispered, a soft, calming warmth passed through her doorway. I know I might sound like someone crazy and someone who can't move on, but it's true. I still can't. After that night, Naida said that there was a shift in the atmosphere in a small condo. The usual cold bed at night seemed cozier and smaller. The air seemed cleaner, and even the sun that would bleed through her curtains seemed brighter. Finally, one afternoon, she saw it. There's a glass divider in our room. One afternoon, when I got home, the lights were still off, but the sun's rays were passing through them. There I saw Liam's silhouette on the other side. Naida says that he would often feel Liam's presence after that day. Fingers running through her hair, soft caresses on her cheek, gentle kiss on the back of her shoulders, and of course, Liam's embrace as she went to sleep. Naida says that she was so happy, the happiest she could have ever been after Liam's passing. But she already knew it wasn't meant to last. Over the series of days, Naida would see Liam's shadow standing near a particular place in their condo. It was in the kitchen area near the sink where Liam used to keep his toolbox. Only see him for a moment, then he'd disappear. But it was after he was trying to say something to me. As her third time glancing at Liam's specter, Naida finally decided to open the cabinet beneath the sink and rummage through Liam's old tools. Naida fell to her knees, sobbing when she found a diamond ring, stashed inside a small box inside Liam's toolbox. Naida said that since that day, she's never felt Liam's presence in their condo again. Despite this, she had steadily started to live her life once again, slowly re-entering society and greeting every day with hope, this time with Liam's ring on her finger. Aww, that was a bittersweet story. It's the fiance's ghost. And the story curse was actually, or sumpa was more of promise than curse actually. So that is why it's called sumpa. It's Liam's promise to Naida. That's a friendly ghost. Well, a loving ghost of a fiance. Now, let's see this next story. Maybe this one would be scary. Look at the image for this one. We got some horns. Alright, let us read it. Story number 13, Horns. Submitted by Art. When Art was 10 years old, he remembers he was quite a naughty child. In his own words, it was a headache for my parents. He was one of those obnoxious kids who always wanted to be annoying and never did what they were told. One particular habit he had at the time was making devil horns with his fingers while being loud and unruly. He said that he would do it everywhere and would make scene with noises he would make. He even did it in church, disrupting the entire homily. Art's mother was furious with him, and he dragged him outside and scolded him profusely. Art remained smug, however, even laughing at his mother, who was close to a breakdown. I knew that it was wrong, but that's why I did it. He was really a good-for-nothing son back then. Art's mother, who was a religious woman, told him, saying that even making that gesture with his horns was that he was inviting demons and giving them power over him. Art, of course, laughed at the thought and mocked his mother by making horns again. That day, as Art's mother angrily took him home, tragedy struck them. We were walking home from Lezo when someone grabbed my mom's bag. She fell and hit her head. Art immediately rushed beside her mom, who was unconscious. At the same time, other bystanders started to gather to help her. Some tried to run after the thief, while the other placed a rag on her mother's head to stem the bleeding. Amidst the chaos, Art remembers seeing one bystander looking at him with a straight face. He slowly began to smile and made horns with his fingers near his head. It took years for Art's mother to recover from her injuries fully. Over those years, Art became more responsible and less unruly, as he partly blamed himself for what had happened. This wasn't the end of Art's story, because as he grew up, Art noticed an unsettling pattern. I experienced more hardship in my life, but I noticed that when something was particularly terrible, I would always see someone making horns at me. When their family suffered a fire that almost burnt down half of their house, he could have sworn he saw a woman in the crowd flashing horns at him and laughing. When Art's beloved pet dog had to be euthanized, he recalls seeing a reflection of a vet doing the same thing from behind him. Even when Art had drunken fist fight, he says he got a glimpse of someone from the club taunting him with horns before he fully blacked out. In one particular harrowing instance, Art got into a vehicular accident and hit a lamppost in a dark and empty street. Despite the street being deserted, he saw a lone child standing near a street lamp, mocking him with her fingers as horns on her head. But their breaking point came in 2018 when Art's younger sister tragically passed away from terminal illness. But he remembers vividly that they were mourning and lowering the casket into the tomb. He saw a vagrant man watching them and he flashed him with his horns on the side of his head. I couldn't stop myself then. I snuck away with my family and rushed at the man. Art said he grabbed the vagrant by the collar and angrily asked him who he was and what he wanted with him. The man's smile grew even larger as he laughed at Art. He kept telling me, "Yawa, Yawa," or "Devil, Devil," like he was mocking me. Art was quickly pulled away from the man by his cousins, who told him that he was just a crazy old man and not to pick a fight with him. Art broke down crying after that from the stress of losing his sister and the thought that he had brought all this misfortune on himself. As he turned back to face the man, and his cousins were surprised to find that he had vanished, seemingly to thin air. There were scorch marks on the pavement and an unmistakable smell of sulfur. To this day, Art says he remains angry at himself for essentially opening himself to this spiritual abuse. He hopes that one day he may be forgiven before his time on earth is up. He admits that one of his greatest fears had yet to come. What if I comes and I see him again? This time, the horns are real. Oh, an unruly child got misfortune for doing it. It's like one of those stories that you tell the kids so they behave. All misfortune. Oh, look at this one. The next story. Look at the image for the next story. What the hell is this creature? If I saw that, oh my god, I would run. I wouldn't want to see that guy. There's a story 14, a Manong Baliko. This is submitted by Disebo. Oh, 3 people submitted it. The group of Disebo introduced themselves as 3 best friends currently in college. However, their story began 2 years ago when they were high school seniors. It all started when their class was given free time by their teacher as they were ahead in their lessons that day. While they were doing their own thing, Disebo decided to chat with their homeroom teacher to pass the time. It didn't take long before a chat between Disebo and their teacher got to the topic of ghost stories. We just asked him a few if he know any ghost stories about the school. Then he told us that there were, and then we learned the story of Manong Baliko. Manong Baliko, or better known as Manong Valenco, when he was still alive, used to be a janitor at their school in the late 50s. He appeared as a decent and kind man who was always open to helping out, even for non-janitorial tasks. However, Manong Valenco was hiding a dark secret. After their teacher's story, Manong Valenco was actually a creeper who would often hide in the girls' lavatory to try to peek at the students and the female staff. Oh. The Sebo's teacher also said that many of the wall repairs that could still be seen in the girls' restrooms were due to the holes he would drill to pick through. He was truly a sick man. That is more of a horror story than actual ghost. He was soon caught in the act by a group of students who heard him crouch inside one of the female cubicles. When the screams of students echoed, Manong Valenco ran frantically out of the hall and slipped as he was rushing down the stairwell. There, he tragically lost his life. Then, our teacher said, to keep the issue quiet, that the principal back then covered up the story. Said Manong Valenco was chasing after a mouse, then came from the girls' restroom and ran down the stairs. After Valenco's death, his spirit was said to still creep around the female restrooms at school and could even be seen crawling up and down the stairs where he died. Witness said that they would see a body mangled and twisted from the fall, as if disturbingly crawled around on all fours, thus leading to the moniker Manong Baliko. The Sebo all had goosebumps from the teacher's story but didn't necessarily believe in it. According to them, if Manong Baliko did exist, then why they never heard him until now? And why haven't they seen any sightings of him since their first year? Their teacher was quick to explain. A few decades ago, it was said that the school had the restrooms and stairwell blessed to get rid of the spirit. His name was also expunged from all public school records. Now, only his story remains and is passed down by word of mouth. If the story stopped there, then everything would have been fine. However, as the Sebo put it, we got too curious. They knew that Manong Valenco's name was removed from all school public records, but they knew that private records were still kept in the library. So I believed that if the story was all the way back in the 50s, then maybe the new librarians wouldn't know about it and it would be none of them wiser to lend a copy of the old yearbooks and records. So they did. They were able to get hold of a copy of the yearbooks from 1950 to 1959. Soon enough, they were scouring the pages for any personnel named Valenco. And finally they found it, Isidro Valenco, janitorial staff 1955 to 1959. As the Sebo read aloud his name, looked strange, bolding one in the photo, the silence in the library was suddenly broken by a scream that came from the hall outside. People suddenly rushed outside and found a female student who was shaking with fright. She said that she saw a man crawl out of one of the cubicles of the CR and go down the stairs. The Sebo all graduated that year, but between the time of their graduation and learning the story of Manong Baliko, there were at least 5 separate sightings of him reported by different students and faculty members. They started college the following year. They heard that the school had already made plans to have the campus blessed again. The Sebo says they hope that their old school went through with it, and they would hate to forever be the ones to release the spirit of Manong Baliko back to its old hunting grounds. Oh, it's because they they checked his past and read his name on the yearbook. His spirit went back when it was already gone. They activated the curse. But the scarier piece of that is the janitor was actually a creep in life, and he's even creepier as a ghost, looking like that. All right, let us read the final. It's our final story for today's stream. We will continue another series next time. It is a doll. I really don't like dolls because they creep me out. I'm just scared they will come alive. It's probably because of Child's Play, where Chucky comes alive. That's why I don't like dolls. You do not like us? Yeah, plus the spider as well. Alright, this one is called Manika ni Nanay, or the Mother's Doll. It's submitted by Melinda. Melinda states that it was a regular Sunday morning in 2023 when she got home from work and found a creepy antique doll sitting in their living room. Immediately, Melinda noted that it was not a brand new and looked quite tattered. It looked like it was from a horror film. It's almost shouted. I almost shouted when I saw it. But before she could, Melinda's mother came in from the kitchen with a smile. She proudly stated that the doll was hers and she found it just lying on the grass and empty lot up the street. Melinda's mother held the doll happily and told her daughter how she used to own an identical one when she was still young. She reminisced contentedly as she danced around with the doll in her hand. Melinda gave a sigh of relief and approval of her mother's purchase. Just like how they say, healing your inner child. I just joked with my mom and told her that I hope it doesn't move it on its own at night. Little did Melinda know that her situation was going to be as cliche as it gets. On the first night they had the doll, it was merely kept on their couch in the living room. While their family ate dinner and watched TV, Melinda couldn't help notice faint movements from the doll as it was twitching. She convinced herself it was merely a trick of the light and her imagination getting the better of her. On the occasion, Melinda's younger sister claimed that she saw the doll blink on its own. Melinda convinced her mother there was something wrong with the doll, and it was like they were living in a real-life horror story. I asked her, has she never heard of Annabelle? Melinda's mother laughed at her daughters, but told them that she would get it blessed the following Sunday, if that would calm her nerves. Before they could do so, there was a knock on the door. Melinda says that she answered the door and a middle-aged woman wearing a clean white suit and a pencil skirt stood in front of her. She was pale-skinned and had beautiful features. As Melinda describes it, it's like from a Korean drama. The unknown woman greeted them, asking them directly if they had seen her children's doll that had gone missing a few days ago. She had been looking for it and stated that her children miss it very much. The world seemed to slow down when she said that. At first, I wanted to show her the doll and ask if it was the one she was referring to, but I suddenly thought it was a bit impossible. Melinda's mind raced across all the strange implications that the doll belonged to this well-dressed woman. Firstly, if it belonged to her, then why was the doll in an empty lot and why did it look rugged, as if it's been thrown away? Secondly, Melinda also questioned that if it was their doll she was looking for, how did she find out that they had it? It wasn't as if the doll ever left their house since their mother had brought it in. Melinda immediately felt there's something strange and decided not to tell the woman about the doll. I just told her that we didn't know anything about any doll and asked the woman to leave. The woman glared at them momentarily. Then, without speaking another word, the woman turned away and started walking. Linda also noted how even for such a beautiful, well-dressed woman, the way she walked was unnatural. That night, however, something strange happened to the doll. As they were about to go to bed, Melinda's mother picked up the doll with the intention of bringing it upstairs, only for her to notice that it felt sticky. They inspected the doll closely and noted that it was covered in sticky silk. Melinda's mother wiped some of it. The doll suddenly started to wriggle in her hand and move sporadically. Melinda says that she, along with her mother and younger sister, screamed out loud in the night that the neighbors woke up. They watched in horror as the doll, which had now faced flat on the floor, continued to wriggle around. Then suddenly, their horror turned to disgust as hundreds of small, medium-sized spiders crawled out of it. The three women climbed to their furniture as they continued to scream. To their relief, however, concerned neighbors came barging to their door to help them. The sight of sheer number of spiders deterred most of the rescuers, except for a few brought brooms to clear out the mess. Eventually, though, it would come down as most of the spiders were killed and swept outside by their neighbors. One of the neighbors asked what they wanted to do with the doll from which the spiders came. Melinda's mother reluctantly told them to throw it away in fear that there might be more spiders left inside. Melinda says that experience remains one of the most frightful yet memorable stories for her mother and her sister. They often talk about it when said it's a bonding moment for the three of them. However, Melinda says that this day, she decided not to tell the other two what she saw the morning after the incident. I felt regret for my mom decided to get the doll back, clean it up, and give it back to her, but when looking in the garbage can in front of her gate, it was gone. I decided to look for it. Melinda walked along the street, checking for different garbage cans in hope that it was just thrown out somewhere else. But as she reached the end of the street, she saw the empty lot where the doll was first found. In the middle of the lot, between a few trees, was a doll, hanging from a large spider web, covered in thousands of tiny spiders. Sitting right above it was a gigantic white spider, almost a foot and a half in length. I stared at the spider for a long time before I just turned and left. They can have it. Oh my god. They're staring at me. Hello, Casey. That is the scary part, the spiders. Why did they didn't burn the... I wonder if that the lady that came to their house was actually like a spider spirit of some kind, and that was the white spider that she saw at the end. And the children that she mentioned was actually children spiders. The scare part was the spiders, not anything creepy about the doll. Yeah, suddenly a spider attack. What would you do, Charmy, if you see that? Spiders just come out of the doll. We burn. We eat and burn. But yeah, that is it for the scary stories for today. I had fun doing this. I like it. We're gonna continue reading more Milky Clear comics next week. And maybe I should open up user submissions. We will see if somebody submits a story for us. I wanna read some stories from you guys if you wanna share some. Are you rating someone now? Yeah, we'll see who we can go to today. Let me check. Who is online today? Oh, actually, let's go to my VTuber brother. I go to our VTuber brother D. Denial. They're gonna play some Sims today. So yeah. Just a short stream today. I had fun reading some spooky stories though. I always love reading spooky stories. It has been a tradition every year. Ever since I started VTubing, always read Milky Clear comics. So yeah, I appreciate you all being here. I love you all, and yeah, I hope to see you again next time. Tomorrow I'm gonna play some water park simulator. You're gonna raid and dash, and no worries. Thank you for joining us here. Thank you for joining the raid and staying here. And yeah, tomorrow, yeah, we're gonna try out water park simulator. I got a code for that. I wanna try it. We will see how many people we injure in our water park. All right, Ray. How are you? Yeah, we are about to raid the D today. And we just finished reading some spooky stories. But yeah, I hope to see you again next time. Appreciate each and every one of you. And yeah, see you. Bye-bye. Mwah. I'll see you again next time, Ray. Don't worry. All right. Bye-bye now.